I tweeted the founder, can you please let me in? And he basically saw my tweet and then accepted my invite to the YC hackathon. Also, this hackathon is on Saturday. I'm doing this on Thursday night. We didn't expect, we just wanted to build something that people can use. And we built it out and we won the design category. We won the most likely to be a YC company category. And we won the first prize as well.
Which was MacBook.
So to visualize what's happening, let's check out. So this is Observee.ai, enabling MCP in one click. Hello everyone, today I am in the fastest YC funded startup I've ever seen. They won a hackathon on May 17, 2025. Within 2 weeks, they got YC acceptance. And now they are building MCP tools, which we are going to explain soon for developers. And this is one of the coolest ecosystem they have built around MCP, how it's going to help, how this is going to accelerate the MCP growth, which it already has. It has an adoption rate of 33% every single month in enterprise. Even Greg Brockman says that we have only seen 1% of what's possible with MCP. There are infinite possibilities. Let's get started with the intro, the coolest story they have. We will then break down MCP for noobs, all of the youngsters watching, and then we will talk about how someone out there can build with this new era of software 3.0, which, Andre Karpati talks about that we are in right now. Rishabh, Chris, and Rajmeet. So let's start with Rishabh.
Yep. Hi, I'm Rishabh. I'm one of the co-founders of Observee, and I was a ML researcher. I have gotten my master's from UC San Diego in robotics and NLP. I did some NLP research back there. So this is like a quick intro. I will dive into my story a bit later in the podcast. But yeah, that's me.
Fascinating.
I'm Chris, one of the co-founders of Observee. Before this, I was a software engineer working at a startup. I've worked at companies as big as Coinbase and companies as small as 5 to 6 person companies. And this is my first time being a co-founder.
Oh, awesome. So you have been in Coinbase and 5 to 6 startups before?
I would say so, yes. My career trajectory is not very linear.
Yeah. How old are you by chance?
I'm 26.
I'm 26.
I'm 23.
Awesome.
And by the way, this is actually kind of old for YC standards these days.
We have built too many applications.
Awesome. So hey everyone, my name is Rajmeet, also a co-founder at Observee. Graduated from Michigan State last year, was a software engineer working for Big Tech, and now working on Observee full time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I want to start with your coding journey. What's the hardest thing you all have built to finally reach to this point, which is like, the far-fetched success for many youngsters out there. So I want to start with your coding journey and like, how do you get into coding and what's the hardest thing you have built?
Okay.
Yeah. My story actually dates back to middle school when I was 13. So 13, yeah. So I love like scrolling on the internet a lot, like reading a bunch of Wikipedia. I still do a lot. There was this quote from Larry Page's Wikipedia, it's still out there, that he said that, when I was 12, I knew I want to build a company. And the first thought for me was, I'm 13, am I old? So that's a funny story. But for me, the coding was like, I always wanted to initially go into astrophysics. So that was like my peak interest when I was still in like 12-ish. And the first time I got to program in Java as part of my school, and I was like, what just happened? I made my computer say hello world. And I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
In Java?
Yeah, that was my first language when I was 13.
Excellent.
And I used to be the annoying kid in all my computer classes who used to be like, ma'am, can I please answer the question?
You were first bencher?
Huh?
You were first?
Only in computer classes. Only in computer classes. My teachers didn't like me much because I used to blabber out the answers and never let people talk. But yeah, that was my coding journey. And what is the hardest thing that I've built? I think when I look at coding, for me, personally, I don't like coding is like super hard for so many people. Like people are trying it and it's like super hard. But I think for personally me, I think when I think about a problem, I like to think about what the problem is, and then I will keep thinking about it. Like not like I might be thinking about a problem right now. That's how my brain works. I don't choose it, but I will keep thinking about it. And for me, when I have the solution for the problem, I can usually code it out. Like I don't think of coding as a challenge. It's more about the problem. I think that's one thing that I've seen a lot of people in computer science think about more. They think, oh, how do I improve my coding skills? I think coding itself is just a language. Like we are talking in English. Coding itself is a language how we talk to computer. So the main thing is you want to know how to solve a problem. And that's how you can code anything out.
Yeah, you keep thinking. So when you're building, you're so obsessed with it. You think about it when you're taking a shower, when you're driving, everywhere. So can you answer the question? What's the hardest thing you've built? Can you name a project?
Yeah. Sure. So actually, this was part of my first job. I was working at this company called 17 Live. So this was my first job out of my undergrad. And this system that I designed was basically analyzing. We get like all these mobile notifications, right? So I was Yeah, it was in India. I was working out of Delhi. So that was my first job during the COVID era. I actually was going to go to my master's directly, but due to COVID, I had to delay it. So I built out this system which used to analyze activity on the user app. And then basically, it was an ML algorithm that we wrote out that used to analyze what users are doing and actually optimize the notifications that are being sent to make it more likely for users to actually interact with the app and not feel like, oh, why is this app sending me so many notifications? This project is actually patented in Japan and is also like I'm the inventor on that patent, but like among my other very cool team members. And this was like one of my, I would not say it's the hardest problem to solve, but it's like first time I built out a system that was going to be used by 200,000 plus users. So like almost 2 lakh users.
So it has the biggest impact, but you would say, is the current project harder or that one was harder?
Again, it's not about hard. It's about like YC has this line. It's about building something that people want. And that's what matters the most. Problems are like you can code things out, but if no one is using it, like what's the point, right? You should always think about like, oh, is this actually solving a problem? So I wouldn't call this project harder than the old one, or I wouldn't call that project harder than this one. It's more about experience and learnings. So like, I think that project led me to learn in like 2 months, the building out the entire infrastructure on Kubernetes when I didn't even know what Kubernetes was. And now, like, it took me a day to set up our entire Kubernetes cluster. So I think that's the transition curve, right? You learn and then you optimize. So I think that's, I would say this is not harder. That was not harder. It's just the transition.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess for me, I grew up not too far from here, 50 miles south in the South Bay, a little town called Los Gatos. So, growing up in the Bay Area, I knew a lot of people in the tech world. So when I went to high school, took my first computer science class sophomore year, AP computer science.
Which school?
I went to this school called Harker. It's in San Jose. So took computer science in high school, went to USC in LA, did computer science there as well. And for me, what sort of got me into coding was really, I wanted to sort of solve real business problems in the world. Especially, I feel like I'm less of the theoretical type. I'm not someone who will go deep into computer science theory, but I love to see the joy on people's faces when I build something that people want to use. And I'm hoping I'm not making this too much of a cliche because I know that's YC's mantra.
So you always wanted to be a problem solver, a founder first, or accidentally solving a problem to become a founder?
I think I'm probably the most accidental founder out of the three of us. I will probably go over this more in the next part of the podcast about the story, but I am more of an accidental founder. I stumbled into this.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
For me, the journey has been a little different in the sense that I kind of stumbled into computers from gaming. So I was a very big childhood gamer. I used to play so many games. I think back in like 6th, 7th grade, I was playing a specific game and the ending wasn't just something that I wanted. And there was lucky that during my time, in Delhi, my school started doing this gaming contests where they would actually come in as developers would come in and they will teach you gaming and Unity, how to build games in Unity. So that was my first experience in 6th grade as how can you build games. And that's kind of what got me into computer science, because I was I can now literally just change the ending of any games. And then I went to modding of things itself. And I continued learning more stuff about simple web development, did a lot of web development competitions back in high school. And then finally, when I came to the US, my first job that I got out of college was a full stack developer at the Entrepreneurship Institute in Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Yeah. So Michigan State, there's this entrepreneurship institute called Burgess Entrepreneurship Institute. And I was a software engineer there. So what that meant is that any student who's building a student startup and wants their app or website or anything built, they would come to me and I would build them for them. And so like that, I built basically like 15 to 20 different startup ideas for people, like basic MVPs that people can take to market. And that basically gave me the understanding of, what really it means to work for a startup, what really is to have a startup, and also gave me like so much problem solving ability, because like every day I was working at 5 startups together, basically a some parek moment almost. but of course not at it was much cleaner than that.
So you came for undergrad to Michigan State, and then you got into a startup there. And
I got employed as a full stack engineer as a college campus job, on-campus job on my college. They had like an entrepreneurship institute, and I got a job as a full stack developer there.
And building 5 multiple MVPs,
Building MVPs basically for other student startups.
So what is the hardest problem both of you have solved? Before this or including this?
So for me, when I was building all of these startups, eventually I got to the point that I want to build something of my own. And that was like the first startup that I started working on. It was called Odin Classroom. It was basically a hacker rank lead code ish environment for computer science students and educators. So computer science educators can come in, create courses on like this environment, and students can come and code on the platform like an inbuilt IDE, web-based IDE. They can hit submit and get instant results for their questions and answers.
So online homework checker, as well as if you want to like sell some courses online. So 2-in-1 platform.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. The problem that we were solving, that even today, we still submit zip files for submission of computer science assignments. I was a teaching assistant, and I didn't want to spend 5-6 hours grading those things. So I was like, why don't we just code on the platform, submit, and there's auto grading. That's possible to do. So that was the premise of the idea. We built it. There were like about 10 universities using in the United States, about 20,000 submissions like we were handling at like every hour basically. And it was a very challenging problem because there's so many WebSockets that need to be maintained. It's crazy.
I have been a TA as well, by the way. Like, it's an excellent problem to solve. You download a zip file, then you execute every program for 40 students or 80 students. How many?
We had 200 some.
Oh my God. So it's an excellent problem. And did you use like some AI debuggers like Claude Code?
This was even before. This was even before. So building this thing took me even more longer. Like, I think that really taught me like what really is problem solving, because it was a hard problem. Like, we didn't have just cursor to ask like, hey, how do you do this?
Just a side note, we all are programmers before the AI coding started. We started coding things by hand, one letter at a time.
I mean, I still have the habit of going to Stack Overflow and like Reddit to like help solve bugs when I have issues. Younger generations will use like ChatGPT as their first line of defense.
100%. Yeah. So what about you? What's the hardest problem you've solved?
Yeah, this is a sort of tough act to follow. But my previous company, I was at Anon, which is a browser automation company. And we were building tools for enterprise data migration. So like, how do you migrate data from one sort of entity to another, especially on websites that don't have external facing APIs. And that involved a lot of sort of browser automation, involved a lot of being able to authenticate on behalf of someone, being able to access a website, effectively, and for lack of better words, consistently, because a lot of websites have a tendency to change over time. But also in a way that, you don't, get Cloudflared or CAPTCHA'd. I think that is actually one of the biggest challenges around any computer use or browser agents these days, is that, a lot of big companies are very strict when it comes to, crawling the web. So it's quite difficult. These are like a bunch of different problems to solve. And not to mention there's probably 3 or 4 different, automated browser providers out there right now, between open source ones and bigger ones like browser-based.
Wow. So this is the problem in the era of AI that you saw.
Yeah, this is the problem in the era of AI, I would say.
Excellent, because like Cloudflare just recently came up with charging for every
and
data.
I know Coinbase also has like this 402 protocol that
I've seen that with blockchain, like basically charging maybe 0.25 cents or like 25 cents or like a few dollars for scraping. And both are like pretty good solutions. One is Web3 solution, other is AI solution by Cloudflare. Okay. So now finally let's get started with MCP. I want to get to know about your journey building this product in the era of MCP. How did you all think of actually going to this hackathon? Because you all were working full time. So you were not students. So how did it happen that you went to that hackathon, build a project in MCP by explaining actually MCP for noobs out there, and then accidentally getting accepted into YC?
So it's a funny story. Like, to give a background, I think Rajmeet and I were actually, we met at work. We both worked at the same company.
What was in the company?
ServiceNow.
ServiceNow, okay.
Yeah, I was doing ML there, and Rajmeet was also doing software engineer. And we met at work, and we were like brainstorming ideas since like Feb or Jan. Yeah, or like we met before that, but we would like just like we should like. We worked together on projects, and then we were like, oh, we both like want to build a startup. Let's start doing it. And it's so funny. Like for the hackathon, there was this hackathon called World's Biggest MCP Hackathon, hosted at the Y Combinator office. It was hosted by Greptile, Gumloop, and Mentalify. So it's so funny. I didn't get in yet. So I tweeted the guy. I tweeted the founder, can you please let me in? And he basically saw my tweet and then accepted my invite to the YC hackathon. Also, this hackathon is on Saturday. I'm doing this on Thursday night.
Yeah. Wow.
And then they sent a text blast that Discord, this is a Discord server that you can join. I joined the Discord server. I'm like, guys, this person that I'm working with, my co-founder, he's not in. Can you please accept him? From Discord, the other person accepted Rajmeet in. And then we were like, okay, let's just go to the hackathon. We'll see what we want to build out. And it's so funny. While I was waiting in the line, there was a huge line outside YC office. Like, entire block was just a line of people waiting to get in. I met Chris in the line of the hackathon. And Chris was like, do you have a team? I'm like, yeah, but it's just 2 of us. Do you want to join? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we just grabbed some drinks and we were like, okay, guys, what do you want to build? Then we were like, okay, guys, we were like trying to build something around MCPs. So again, I will dive into what MCPs are. We were trying to build something around MCPs, but we were like, guys, it's so hard to like actually get some insights on what's happening behind each tool call. So we were like, let's build out a cool logging observability platform for MCPs. And we did that. And
can you please explain MCP first?
Okay. Yeah. So MCPs, I think I like to explain it. It's like a window for the LLMs to look at the world and the data. That's a very simple explanation. Like, okay, it's like LLM is a very great tool. But without having access to the real-time data or what your data is or what my data is, it's like, it's just going to talk about random things, right? You want to provide the actual data. So MCPs is a protocol that was created in 2024, December by Anthropic. Actually, November, when they released the GitHub repo, they were like, guys, we are going to standardize a protocol like similar to how HTTP was standardized.
100%.
Back in
1990s.
1990s.
Yeah.
So 1990s and 35 years later, we have a new protocol called MCP, which basically standardizes all how the LLM can communicate with the world's data. And they made the standard so people, the developers like you and me or us, we don't have to worry about how the LLM is going to perceive the information. There's a standard. This is how the tool that LLM wants to use should look like.
Excellent. I would like to add an example. Yeah. So a simple example would be, let's say I am an LLM like OpenAI or Claude. Yeah. This is my local laptop data. This is my WhatsApp data. And this is my Gmail data and Google Calendar data. If I want all I put a USB-C in. This is MCP.
Yep.
USB-C in,
Yep.
a USB-C in. I have all the data in one place I can access. And LLM figures out if I ask information about my Google Calendar or email, it'll go to him. If I want about my local laptop data, figure out all the 10 files which are related to XYZ, it'll go to him. So yeah, now I'll let you continue the journey of actually building in MCP.
Yeah. So we basically won the hackathon. We won in, like, there were 4 categories. We won in 3. So again, we didn't expect, we just wanted to build something that people can use.
Yeah.
Like, and we built it out and we won the design category. We won the most likely to be a YC company category. And we won the first prize as well,
which was MacBook.
which was MacBook Airs.
The one that I use.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's when we got invited by YC to like submit an application, and our partner Gustav, pretty cool guy. He was like one of the most, I would say, the most important people in Airbnb, and also he was actually the first person who was part of the first YC batch in 2006. So Gustav, if people don't know him, look him up. He's a super cool guy. So he invited us and he was like, guys, just submit an application. We'll interview you guys. And we had our interview. And I remember 28th was our interview, and 30th was when 30th May was when we got our YC acceptance.
Within 2 weeks after the hackathon.
Yes.
Yeah. Within 2 weeks after the hackathon.
So hackathon was Saturday. The next week we submitted our application. The week after, Wednesday, our interview was there, and Friday, Gustav called us and he was like, guys, you're in.
Wow. It's not as simple as it sounds like.
Yeah.
I have seen people struggle till their 7th attempts to get into YC. Yeah. You guys proved that you have $1 billion idea just at the hackathon and got in.
I think it also comes down to dedication. We also submitted applications for different ideas before. Like, it's not that, I would say, consistency and idea. Consistency is the most important thing when building a startup. You have to keep trying. You have to keep working.
I think for the people who are applying to YC because the deadline's coming very soon, don't discourage by like if you don't get in, because like this wasn't my first attempt. This was also like my 4th or 5th attempt when I applied, and they want to see the consistency that you're doing something, and if you can prove to them that you're actually someone who has the ability to build and solve things, they'll fund you.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's very cool stories by companies like Replit. Like, I think the founder applied multiple times when he got in, and Replit is like, oh, great.
Company.
Yeah. So if the guy, he has been doing that for like the past 12 years. Yeah. If a guy, and now is the time when they actually reach their first 100 million ARR. So if a guy can do that for 12 years, like, we got to keep trying. Startups is not like you have an idea, it works tomorrow. Yeah. No, you got to keep trying. I think that's what matters with startups the most.
Yeah. I'll let you both continue the story.
Yeah. Wow, Rishabh, I didn't even know about that part of the story until now. The whole Greptile reaching out to that. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, my part of the story is probably just as wild. But yeah, basically my friend actually invited me to this hackathon. But unfortunately he couldn't make it that day. So
your teammate.
Well, no. So actually, what happened was he gave me his ticket for the hackathon. So he wasn't available that day. So I was just like, okay, I guess it's a Saturday in San Francisco. There's nothing better to do. So I decided to go to this hackathon, and really long line. And as Rishabh mentioned, I met him while I was waiting in line. And honestly, at that point, I think he had a team of 2 people. They were looking for a few other people, and I just asked, "Hey, could I join?" And they were like, "Sure." And, yeah, as he mentioned, we went downstairs. We started ideating a little bit. We probably iterated through 2 or 3 different ideas. Yeah, in the first hour. And not gonna lie, I was actually kind of nervous around that first hour because I'm like, okay, after the second iteration, I'm like, are we gonna get an idea? Are we gonna be able to finish something? But luckily, I have a super cracked team here, and we were able to get a lot of work done in a short period of time. And I think really sort of one guiding principle, like I wouldn't say it's like a set in stone principle, but one sort of thing I noticed is that we're a very high productivity, low drama sort of team. Like, having that sort of delta is really important.
Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, I think most of it is anyways covered. I think the one thing that I will add is that I feel it's pretty difficult when you meet people for the first time to actually blend in and, work together. I think the thing that worked very well with us is that we kind of already knew the strengths that we have, and everyone just worked on their strengths. And in 6 hours, we had a product that we can demo to YC.
Wow.
That's the hackathon project it was not a long hackathon. It was only a 6-hour hackathon.
Really?
In 1 hour, we ideated, and in 5 hours, we basically built out a simple MVP that lets any MCP server add observability in like 3 lines of code. That was the MVP that we built.
We have to break that down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
3 lines of code adding observability. What is observability?
So basically, for any MCP server, if you want to understand what's happening inside, like every single tool call, every single function that it's calling, every single prompt that the user is sending in, any sort of analytics that's happening under the ground for the LLM, understanding that aspect is what we built out in the 5 hours.
So it's basically like reading what steps LLM is taking behind the scenes and seeing that fully. So you can backtrack how it happened.
I think a better short explanation for our hackathon project, the Vercel CEO, he was one of the judges of the hackathon. Vercel, pretty cool company. We love them.
We love ourselves.
And he said it like, you guys are like Datadog for MCP. So that's how it's a simple word for like, if people want to look it up, Datadog also has been there for 20 years, more than that. I don't know. But yeah, that's what was our initial thing that he explained it for people who didn't know what observability or MCPs even meant. So yeah, that's what was the initial hackathon.
Yeah.
And from that day, we would love to talk about what we still stick with a 3 line.
3 lines of code, yeah.
3 lines of code, but now it's like way more in those 3 lines of code. We would love to talk about it next.
Sure.
Yeah.
You were adding something? Yeah.
No, I mean, that was the hackathon project we submitted, and in the month and a half, talking to customers and understanding what really are the shortcomings. We have just building systems to make it better.
Yeah. Excellent.
By the way, I think the deadline was like 5:15 p.m. We submitted it like 5:14.
Oh my God.
Hackathon fun.
Yeah.
It's a wild story.
Yeah.
So to visualize what's happening, let's check out. So this is Observee.ai enabling MCP in 1 click. Can you walk me through if someone wants to use, a developer wants to make a platform with thousands of MCPs, how can they get started?
Just click on get started first. And you see this page. So you don't have any MCP servers right now. But by the way, all of this is enterprise friendly. So it comes with a bunch of things inbuilt. So like I would say, let's go to connect. And you see all the MCP servers are here. So this is for like your personal usage, or like you can like connect it to any. So
yeah, you can just click advanced and go to Observee.
This is the Google problem. They are approving a CAPTCHA process right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, now your
1 click, I have in this application Google Docs connected.
And then just apply change.
Or if you want to connect to other servers too.
You can connect to as many servers as you want.
And it's on a VM. It's on one server. You don't even need to run it locally.
Yeah, nothing.
And so it'll create a server-based application. I hit your Observee endpoint and I can have all the MCPs. For example, Google Docs is connected. Similarly, I can have WhatsApp. All these MCPs, WhatsApp, Google Docs, Google Calendar, all connected with one endpoint. So let's say, where's that endpoint? How can I?
Can you go up? No, in the same page.
You can go config.
So let's say I'm using Windsurf. I'm going to copy this.
Yeah.
Go to Windsurf.
Windsurf settings. Yeah, MCPs. Yeah, plugins, manage MCPs. And then view raw config. Just paste the file that you just copied. And that's it. Just save the file. And then manage plugins. And refresh. Yeah.
Wow, Google Docs is connected, guys.
And
this is amazing.
The best part, you can go to Observee, click as many servers as you want. You don't have to
change the URL.
So, wow.
So it always stays the same. So it will have your specific data and developers can build with it.
Yeah. So if you want to connect your Supabase or your Gmail or anything else.
Yeah, we have all these servers.
All of that, yeah.
So this is something you all built in 5 hours.
Not this, not this, but
Not this. So if you were to use like if you use this thing, for example, the entire logs that you get, like what tool did the LLM call, you start seeing that logs of the entire thing. That's the thing that we started off with, just the logging part. And now we help in deploying the servers as well and enabling everything in one click.
So that happened after.
Yeah.
So with just the logs feature you won, and how much time it took to develop this feature?
I mean, we started a month and a half ago. So a month and a half.
I mean,
this thing.
I mean, it depends on whether you consider the start of the hackathon as when we started versus the start of getting into YC.
This is fantastic idea. Like, so guys, this is how you can build an application using thousands of MCPs with 4 lines of code immediately.
Yeah, you want to show how the code looks like. If you are a developer, you just this is the config. But if you want to set up your applications, just go to observee.py. We have our SDK. So basically, all like you can enable as many tools, and you just set your API key, and that's the code you will need to like build applications like that has access to your Gmail, access to your Jira accounts, your Linear, your stock portfolios, everything. This is the code that you will have to use. That's it. This is the code that you will have to use. That's it. This is how like when you start using MCPs will look like. So you see this, like I have been using it a bunch for my own platform. I use it a lot. And this is how it like the logs start appearing. So you don't have to set it up. So every tool that you use is like there. So like this was something I was trying, something like, oh, look up my meeting. So it will show you what the tool was, how long it took, everything. Like this is the exact time the tool call took. Like this is the observability. This was the platform we built out in the hackathon. And then you get a cool visualization. So like, this is a knowledge graph. So like you can see how many times the tool was called, what was the response. Like this is a knowledge graph. So if people don't know knowledge graph, it's like a cool way to represent graph databases. So yeah, and then for better, we have, this is one of the unique things that people don't really have right now. It's a session tracking. So you won't like, I don't know which session is like the longest, but you will get like an exact sequence of how the sorry, this is like just one tool call per session, but like you will see an entire sequence of a chain of how the tools were called. Like let's say if the LLM chose first to call Gmail, then it chose to call YouTube, then it chose to call Linear. You will see a line of how the tools were processed, so you can actually see what the LLM decisions are.
And let me tell you why it's so important. Let's say in future you build an application which is saying yes or no to someone for health insurance loan. You can go back, you can trace and find out why that decision was yes or no.
Yeah. And even for debugging, for example, like if you're building something and you want to see like what exactly routes did it take, because LLMs sometimes are very unpredictable. So you can actually understand like what things it did and then tweak the your application based on that and debug faster.
100%, because LLMs work on probability.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you ask the same question second or third time, the answer can be different because it works on probability.
That's correct.
And YCs are obsessed with like billion-dollar ideas. They want an idea which can be a billion-dollar product tomorrow, like Replit, like Airbnb. So how do you think that this is going to be a billion-dollar idea with MCP growing at a 33% rate every month, more tools coming, more enterprises creating this? What if like Claude or Anthropic creates the same product tomorrow? Why do you think this has a billion-dollar market?
So I think that comes down to a question of how you look at the problem again. I'm a problem obsessed guy. So as it was in the AI startup school, a lot of very cool, very talented people were saying that this is the era of software 3.0. So software 3.0 is like how I would say it, like is the way where LLMs are the main core of the entire system, and MCPs are hands or like eyes for ears of LLMs to like actually see those things. So for software 3.0, like this is why we are building this, because we do believe it's like a new era, like how back in the day when internet companies were starting out, then there was an era when app companies were starting out. Then recently in 2 years ago, we had an era of all the AI companies starting out. Now this is the era of when AI actually merges in all the existing services. So this is the era where, as I think OpenAI or Anthropic, all of them believe that this is the year of agents. So this is what will power your agents to do things. So like LLM has a lot of good decision-making capabilities, But if you're not giving it what decision to make, how will it know what am I supposed to do? Like if it doesn't know where your email is, what connector I'm supposed to check for your email, you're just asking something. Yeah. And you asked us the second question, like why we think this is $1 billion idea. I think you answered the question by yourself. 33% growth. But my answer would be 33% growth. And also the era of a new computing, software 3.0. I think I do believe in it a lot. Just think about it, like we are used to having so many different things on our phones, on our computers all the time. But wouldn't it be better just one thing or one, I don't know what the eventual interface will look like, but I do believe in an era where we won't have to like switch tabs.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we should, and we won't have to like manually look for things. If you go on why were LLM so successful? Because you were able to see information, like which information is there on Wikipedia as well. If I ask you who's Larry Page, you can do that on Wikipedia. Who is Elon Musk, you can do on Wikipedia. But now you don't have to go to Wikipedia. You don't have to scan. You can ask questions on it. Similarly, with MCPs, you can do that with everything that you are connected to in real life.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I would also add that we aren't just building for Anthropic. You know, one of the benefits of MCPs is that it is open source. It is an open protocol. So, you know, today it might be Anthropic that is leading the charge, but tomorrow it could be someone else.
Yeah. And I think those companies are doing super well. They created the school protocol, and you asked us like, why we think we are positioned well to do this instead of those companies. I think they are a model company. They created this protocol for developers to build, and we are helping developers to build faster.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Why you asked us like, oh, why do you think Anthropic or OpenAI won't build this? That's my answer, because they are a model company. They literally say, Sam in the recent YC talk also said that, guys, if you want to build something, build what we want to do. If you're thinking of building, if you're building something that helps the model, we are going to be doing that. Yeah. But if you're building something like what we are to help developers build AI applications, that's when the difference is.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think my understanding is like, the 33% is definitely something, but also I think like it's the next big step for an LLM to actually get better. If we have gotten, I think we're going to eventually reach the ceiling where like the cost of an LLM would converge to 0 and the intelligence would converge to close to 100. But to get to that, I think it needs to have contextual awareness. It needs to understand its environment. Same way with humans. Like the moment we start with interacting with people is when we have actually start understanding real how life really works, right? So not going very psychological or like philosophical, but I think MCPs lets you do that. I think we have a great team, and as a startup, we can move really fast. And I think because the space is still very new, like November is when the protocol came up. We are still in July. Even in less than a year, we have a product that people can start using MCPs and increase their development with. I think because we are early adopters, we understand the space well, and I think that is something that goes well with us.
Yeah.
And also, just to give you guys, MCP is Model Context Protocol. I think we never said it out loud. It's a protocol, guys.
Yeah. I will say there have been other protocols in the past that have attempted or currently trying to do something similar to MCP. And I would say our big argument for MCP is really, if you look at the competitive landscape, it's not just Anthropic that's using it. OpenAI recently started supporting it. Gemini started supporting it. Yes, there are others, but they haven't really gotten as much velocity as the MCP or adoption.
Yeah, because the biggest advantage with startups like you is that, first of all, speed.
Yeah.
And if an incumbent like OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, etc., want to compete with you, they have two options: spend a month or even a year, because they're slower. Yeah. They'll spend a year to build and copy you guys. Or next option is acquire you. So it's a win-win situation always for you. Otherwise, you know, I mean, of course, there's a worst possibility, another competitor, but still 90% chance is a win-win situation.
Yeah. And I do follow a lot of Twitter news, and also I'm very addicted to my computer and my phone. But I realize like what these model providers are doing. They want to build the best model out there, like GPT, Sonnet, Gemini. All these models are so great. They don't want to spend their resources on building connectors for people. They want to build something which is the connectors can use, and that's where we come in. We are building, and like LLM is like internet when www was invented, and then there were so many applications that were created on that one protocol of HTTP. And now we are in the era where these models are like similar to the internet, and we are building applications that help the internet grow. That's a way.
Yep.
of
We were sort of building the baseline layer so that other people can build their apps on top.
yeah.
Excellent. With MCP reliant on Anthropic to maintain it. It's open source, but it's still dependent on other.
Yep.
Right.
Actually, I went to this event, Code with Claude. Anthropic has a team which maintains the mod MCP, and they're actually a very different ideology. So they have a team which is writing the spec. So the spec comes out before even Anthropic is implemented. So the spec is based on what people are saying, the feedback on the entire protocol, and that's what the spec is created. So every 3 months, I think, they release a new spec, and then Anthropic adopts it after the spec. Of course, they're pretty quick to adopt it because they are writing the spec in a way, but it's not like they are maintaining the entire system. It's an open source thing, and then there's a team that is maintaining the spec, and there have been certain talks on making the spec like non-related to Anthropic, like making it open. But yeah, I don't know, like this is not my area of like saying, oh, where the spec should go. But I do believe the spec is not technically related to the Anthropic, and MCP is more of a protocol. As I was saying, I have been emphasizing that a lot. That spec matters, like that spec comes out first and then people adopt it.
Excellent. So my question here is, Greg Brockman said that only 1%, we have only seen 1% of what MCPs can do. What do you think is, what do you think is impossible that we haven't seen? What I think is that MCP is still fetching the data. I can fetch from YouTube, Google Calendar, but I cannot push it yet. Yeah. Right. That is a big challenge. You cannot push yet. It requires more permission, right?
Well, are you talking about the ability to take certain actions like send an email or...
Yeah.
I mean, we can send an email.
Send an email right now.
Yeah.
Through MCPs.
Through MCPs, yeah.
You can send it right now.
I can send an email to singinUSA at gmail.com.
Edit your docs that you just connected to.
Yeah.
You can edit your docs through Pixel.
Yeah.
Oh, the edit permissions are there as well?
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing I really like to do is like, take an email of something, maybe Rishab sends me something technical. I'll tell the Anthropic MCP to summarize it and then add it to my Notion.
So you trusted.
Yeah.
The best part is we trust it because we know we have built out safety guardrails around it. So that's our biggest feature, I would say, which is like we first vet out all the security concerns, and then we have built out tool injection protection, PII scrubbing. So we trust it because when we see our logs, when you as a developer see your logs, you're not going to see Chris's information. It's all scraped out. If Chris is trying to attack your system, like by trying to expose data, which is your developer data, like, we are giving edit permissions, we have built-in protection that will always make sure that doesn't happen. And we have, I think the model is at like 99% accuracy. Again, prompt tool injection is always like an ongoing research conversation, but we have all that built in. And with that setup that you just saw, you don't have to do it. It automatically happens behind the scenes.
So because I use MCP on my Claude application directly, it at least doesn't have edit permissions or for like, it doesn't have permissions like sending an email. It just fetches the Claude one. But you're saying with complete set of MCP permissions, you can send an email to, and you allow that. Edit docs, edit Notion, everything all in one. And what guardrails you have, and what is the future we can expect? If we are seeing, if this is 1%, what is the 99% we haven't seen is yet to come?
So you talked about like the 99%, I think multimodality, it's on the roadmap of the spec itself. So multimodality, like videos directly in the MCPs or voice, like just think about like you can talk to Gmail. Like I think there are some people which are implementing that right now, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
And like there are in the MCP roadmap, they are talking about like multimodality. And there is a concept where I think the MCPs will, like our goal for MCPs is not like the consumer or the developer should never have to worry about, what kind of tools I'm filtering. I think there is some limitations. There are limitations around how much context it can perceive. So that's another problem that we have solved. Like I literally pushed a build last night. So we have enabled tool filtering that during runtime, if you have 1,000 tools enabled, it will see only like 5, 6. So the LLM doesn't get overwhelmed. It's like if you are reading a book, I tell you, yo, you gotta read the entire book in like 5 seconds. This is 10 books. You're gonna be like, bro, give me time. I'm gonna go through one page at a time. So we help you do that. So tool filtering would be like, you have 10 books and you know which page to read to.
Yeah.
There, we'll still give the control to the LLM. We'll still give you the control to find that information, but you will have to select from 10 pages instead of having to do from 10 books.
So context distillation of context so that it uses less resources.
Yeah, and it's beneficial for developers and people both, because developers won't have to pay as much for paying so much for the tokens. And for consumers, they will get the right answers more likely, and it will reduces the hallucinations as well.
Yeah.
So I think these are the things that the 99% of MCP, we are just three guys building this thing. There are probably thousands of ML researchers which are doing so well and gonna have come up with more of those 99%. But these are initial thoughts, what's broken, what actually matters today. That's what we have built out and we are working. If you have any new thing that you think MCP is failing at, let me know. I'll build it out tomorrow.
I feel like since MCP is such a nascent field, it's almost like we're building the plane as we're trying to fly it too. So, it's a lot of late night, debugging sessions, figuring out, reading through the docs, deeply understanding the problem space.
Totally.
I think to me, I agree. Like, I think the 99% is just the ability to connect to any app with an LLM. Like, I imagine this world where like all the tools that we use today, like all the tools that we use in companies, like people don't have to actually go inside the platform itself. Like they can just tell an LLM to do something. Like, imagine this world where like I basically have to find all the people that I've reached out to. I would probably go on LinkedIn one by one, go through my connections, try Googling everything. Like in the future, you can just go to ChatGPT or Claude and be like, hey, can you find me all of these people who are doing XYZ stuff? And it will do it because it has connections to LinkedIn, it has connections to search, it has connections to memory. And I think that is where the 99% will come, which is like, the adoption in everyday application will change, and the way we interact with use applications in general will just eventually move to just ChatGPT, Claude, Cursor.
And if you think that vision is true and you want to build that vision, we provide the dev tools at Observee. Provide the dev tools and you can get started right now. You can build that vision right now with what tools we are providing at Observee.
At $25 per month.
One sort of tool that I had tried a few months ago was Devin AI, which is this sort of long-running operation. You could tell the AI, hey, read through my code base. I need you to, create not just, a particular few lines of code, but rather almost like an entire project. And I've seen people be able to connect their GitHubs, their Jiras to it, and based on the tickets, I would say Devin can probably operate at maybe like an IC3 engineer at this point if you prompt it correctly. And the goal is to extend that Devin sort of vision to not just coding, but to anything.
And with our product, we help you build apps like Devin without having to do that manual work.
Yeah. Coming back to what 99% is still left with MCP, we were discussing that, let's say if I want to, with a prompt, make a video and publish it to YouTube, some permissions on MCP are not out there. YouTube doesn't give publishing permission. That's what I was. It does have Google Docs edit permission, but not publish.
As the trust improves, as the security improves, what we are trying to build here at Observee as well, the more that loop keeps happening, the more adoption drives up. I think the eventual API providers, they want to drive usage up, right? If everyone is using their platforms through an LLM, now they will want to open up that permission, and when they are opening that up, you will just have it enabled.
And I think that's where the value of things like the 402 protocol from Cloudflare and Coinbase come in, because now people can get sort of compensated for the actions that agents take.
100%.
I mean, I think the future is basically that all the APIs right now will basically be enabled as MCPs, and you can just tell the LLM to do this thing that is already there. So your broad process of creating a YouTube video, finding leads, or finding what category to create on, creating the video, editing it, I think all of them can be done in MCPs in the future.
100%. So the biggest lesson what I've learned from you guys is sometimes the best startups in MCP or whatever ecosystem you want to call sometimes solve the fundamental infrastructure problem that aren't glamorous but sometimes critically important. You have created an infrastructure which is maybe not as difficult to build, which is maybe not glamorous, you can correct me, but it is important, so obvious was important at the right timing, and you guys made it possible.
The best products are always built. Like, if you think about back in the day, Airbnb was letting people host their houses as hotels. It's so obvious. Like, if you go back in 2006, it's so obvious, right? Like, think about like how Google worked. Like, Google was invented as a search engine. Like, Yahoo was already there. It was all invented, but they made it simple. They built the better infra. Like, Vercel today is like $1 billion company. It's, again, helping you deploy websites faster. It's not that hard to build. If you want to build a Vercel tomorrow, you can spend like a couple of months and probably get there. But this solved the critical problem, as you said, at the right time and when people needed it. So I think with startups, there's a aspect of luck and timing. Along with hard work. That's what we are trying to do.
And I think that luck can be kind of like almost generated if you are someone who's just consistent and dedicated.
And active
that call.
timing.
Absolutely.
And I think all three of us have had our sort of serendipitous moments. I think Stripe, actually, the CEO mentioned this recently, but you can try to maximize your surface area for your chances of luck by, reaching out to more people, taking more initiatives, going to hackathons on a random Saturday in San Francisco.
100%. Now, I want to learn, for anyone out there, when someone needs to build an MCP from scratch, when can they use an existing MCP server out there? For example, WhatsApp has an MCP server. Right. In what ways someone should go out there, build it from scratch, or use an existing one, and how can they do both?
They can build, if they want to build a MCP server from scratch using, I think there are very cool libraries that people have been building in open source, like Fast MCP. We personally use that as well.
So it uses API and then wraps it to be a MCP.
Yes, but it also gives you more control that you can use to like prompt your tool, type in your own descriptions, like do stuff like that. But if like MCP is like one of those things that a lot of providers are building themselves and also enabling. And if you are if you want to like build out an MCP, you can just go to Fast MCP or like use anything that is out there to build MCP servers. But if you don't want to do that, we are.
I think the small other thing is that because it's a protocol, everything has been open sourced.
Yeah.
And if you are someone who just like, you can probably like for anything, you can probably find an MCP server out there. Like if I want like something as simple as maybe book an Uber, like probably Uber has an MCP server right there that some developer or someone at Uber has already built out. And you can try it out. I mean, try it out, see for yourself, make improvements. Everything is an open source ecosystem. So you can contribute yourself and, maybe you get hired by Uber to be like, hey, can you make this full time for us,
What is the future of Observee as a company? How do you continue to move forward towards that $1 billion or like more than that mission?
I think there are just two very, very important things, especially in a 3-person company. One is keep building, which I think is clear we're very good at. And 2 is keep selling.
Yeah, and to get to $1 billion company, I think the priority should be to build something that developers love. So we have been taking this approach. We're building this product and SDKs where developers can build apps on top of it. Revenue is something that if you're building a cool company that comes through, yeah, I think our goals is not to like, obviously we are a business, we want to maximize our revenue, but we are focusing most on like first building a cool product that people love so much. Yeah.
And I think that is the YC fundamentals as well. Like build something people want. They stand by that thing, and it has been this mission statement. Because if someone really wants what you're doing, they will pay whatever money it's almost for a lot of people. This could be like a hair on fire problem, which is like they need the solution. They will, even if the product is not that good, even though we'll make the product good, they will pay money and they will want to use it because it is very important for them to solve. And I think that to us, I think that's the mission of like just make something that people genuinely want and love.
Yeah, I was so excited using it right in front of your eyes for my first time. Last question. So can you break down how Observee is built? And And like what I see from outside is it's a layer. It's an algorithm where you have a parent Observee API in which you handle minutely connecting 300 MCP servers in an algorithm.
How Observee is built is we have all these servers. We spin up, if you're a customer and you want to connect to these like hundreds of tools, you can do that. You can connect, and that's it. You get one URL, one API that will have all the servers set up. You don't have to manually do anything. And if you are a developer if you want to use it directly, you can. It's a free plan. But if you want to build with all these servers, we have an auth solution that will manage the entire OAuth for you. We have all these security features. We have our SDK, which is literally pip install MCP agents, MCP agents. And yeah, in 3 lines of code, you can build whatever application you want. And each time, basically, it is an auto-scaling infra. So if you have thousands of customers, it will take care of that. It will always handle requests. You have thousands of tool calls coming in, or like even millions, it will automatically scale. If you, and all of that is totally isolated to you. So like, we are not sharing resources that you want. Again, we are the infra company. We are providing the resource, the base layer, where the entire cluster is isolated. The pod is isolated. By pod, I'm saying like Kubernetes pods are isolated for you. So it always stays up. If one thing is going down, if one customer's thing is breaking the system, it won't affect you. It always will be up. So yeah.
One thing I do want to say is I've had a lot of my friends come to me, ask me the last few years, Chris, I'm a software engineer. I'm really worried about, whether my job's going to be displaced by AIs or not. And if you just heard sort of the problems that we're trying to solve right now in the AI space, a lot of them are still very fundamental software problems. How do you scale it up? How do you solve problems around authentication? How do you provide a secure platform? And I think, as much as there's a lot of fear-mongering about software engineers being displaced, I actually think with this sort of boom in language models, MCPs, and all sorts of other things in the AI space, there's going to be a need for people who are really good at those skills in software.
Excellent. We need more people out there building with MCP and speeding up the growth of, full automated agents, full end-to-end, what is called agentic systems. And my last question would be like, so let's say a new MCP is introduced, let's say, instead of YouTube, it's like YouTube Music. So you manually out there add it to your infra, or like you have created a system, it automatically adds?
We have a system that automatically adds it, and we also want to vet out all the servers. So we have this request form, like how App Store does it. Like you can build apps and then you can request for the App Store to approve it. So we are letting developers basically sign up and be like, oh, I have built out this MCP server. I want to list it on your MCP store, MCP marketplace. We vet it out. We make sure it's not like, exposing data for your customer. We do the vetting for it, and then we approve the manual process, and the system just picks it up.
Awesome. Final question: what advice and skill sets and mindset you would advise to the youngsters out there to have a similar journey like yours, like build and be successful, whether it's YC or building a startup or building a great developer?
Be hardworking. Be consistent. I think motivation is one of those things that you always have to keep up. Startups are hard. No one is gonna like all of us think startups are hard. Even our entire batch thinks startups are hard. Yeah. But the entire principle is keep building and just be more creative as well. I think creativity, talk to more customers. I think that's the most important part. That should have been my first statement. Talk to more customers, see if what you're building is like going in the right direction. And yeah, I think that's how you should approach building these cool startups, and like have a vision, believe in it, talk to customers, improvise that vision, and that's about it.
And come to Saturday too.
Come to Saturday for a hackathon. I would say honestly, in the past few years, in a lot of American universities, there's been sort of entrepreneurship is being somewhat glamorized in a lot of ways. And, a lot of kids want to sort of LARP as being startup founders. But, at my first day at YC, I listened to a lot of the partners and heard about their stories about going through their startups. And to be honest, there's nothing sort of glamorous about what they had to go through. There's a lot of vicissitudes, a lot of ups and downs. And so I would say for the young generation, like don't get caught up in the whole like LARPing stuff. There's sort of the real life, there's reality, and then there's what you may see on TV, on TikTok, on some of these other platforms.
Excellent.
For me, I think I'm a very big follower of Naval Ravikant, and he says like surround yourself with people that inspire you. And surround yourself, you become, the product of the 5 people that are around you. I think that is a very big prospect. You should always, have that in your mind. I think the other thing is like find places where you can generate success and luck. Like I moved to San Francisco 2 months back. I was back in South Bay, close to Sunnyvale, San Jose area. But I think like I was perfectly fine living there, and there was no harm in in that area as well. My understanding was that if I was in San Francisco, I will be surrounded by more builders, more people who are doing similar things, more people who are ready to fail, take up a challenge. And I think if I was in South Bay, I probably never would have come to the hackathon to begin with, because why on Saturday morning would I drive up to San Francisco?
Friction.
There's so much friction. So I think the people you surround with, the place that you're living, I think that's the things that he says. And third, like, startups are hard. A lot of things in life are hard. I think at the end of the day, you have to realize that, what you're doing, you have to believe yourself that what you're doing is the right thing, and people will question that. But at the end of the day, just have faith in that you will figure things out and life will keep going on.
Yeah. Awesome. That's a great way to end the podcast. Thank you so much, all of you, for having me. And it was a wonderful experience. Thank you so much. I hope it adds value. Thank you.
Thanks so much.